Hey everyone, this is Jennifer Beamer, owner, operator of Expedited Diet Art by Science. This is the daily vlog number 22, and today I wanted to talk about Niddy Noddies. Yay! So if you don't know what a Niddy Noddy is, it's a device you use to make a skein of yarn like this one. See? And when you open it up, it's just this big loop, like this. And this is what the tool looks like. This is the plastic version, or the PVC pipe version that I have. And the question I wanted to address today is plastic or wood. So I have both with me, so I will talk about both. But basically, this is a PVC Niddy Noddy, and this is what hand spinners, let me get it all in frame here. This is what hand spinners will use to make this. So I have a Niddy Noddy video. If you do not know how to use it, I will link to that video below in the description. But really the question is plastic or wood. So this one, like I said, is the PVC Niddy Noddy that my husband helped me make. I wanted a Niddy Noddy, but I was really a poor graduate student, so I couldn't afford a real nice wooden one, which usually can be a little bit more expensive. So we just went to the hardware store after doing some math and figuring out how to make it such that I would get a 2-yard skein, because that's really what I wanted. So here's the PVC pipe one that I have. And then when I got my princess wheel, my Kromsky Minstrel, I also decided to get the matching Niddy Noddy that goes with it. And this one is in the same mahogany finish as my Kromsky Minstrel. And as you can see, it's very different than the PVC version. I mean, beyond just the fact that it's made of wood, it's also very ornate. So let's get down into it. Well, like I said, I was a poor graduate student, so a PVC Niddy Noddy was really what I needed. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the advantages of having a PVC Niddy Noddy. First of all, sounds terrible, but you can easily turn or rotate this piece so that it lays flat. So if you're traveling somewhere, you can actually just take it apart. So I don't know if I could do it on camera. Maybe I can't. You can actually take it apart. See? So this middle piece here, this I have marked 2 yards. So I know that when I have this middle piece in here, it's going to give me a 2-yard skein. So this is actually the piece that matters the most when creating your do-it-yourself Niddy Noddy. And if you take this part out, I just like smacked my knee against the table. Sorry about that. So if I take this piece out, I could replace it with a shorter one. This one is for 1.5 yards. So I can just insert this, do a quick change like that, and then voila, I have a shorter Niddy Noddy. So that's actually one of the really nice advantages of having a PVC version of a Niddy Noddy. Or I also have, I think we bought one piece and then a couple of these connectors like this, and just cut the lengths that I wanted at minimum, and then I had some left over. This is like 2.25 yards. So if you are wanting to sell your hand spun, you have to take into consideration shrinkage once you wash your yarn, because when you wash your yarn, most of the time the fiber that you're using is going to poof up a little bit, so it's going to detract from the overall yardage. I think it's like 10 or 15% that you'll actually lose after skeining it on a Niddy Noddy. So if that's what you're going to do, I suggest making your own PVC Niddy Noddy so that you can take that into consideration. So you don't want to jip out your customer, right? They want so many yards, and if they have less than it, they're going to get angry. So let's not have any angry mobs forming. So this makes a slightly longer version of the skein. So if you really wanted to, you could make all kinds of variations in between. Like if you're going to make little mini skeins of hand spun, like, you know, buy 5 mini skeins for people who use them for like small projects or something like that. You could have an even shorter piece here. This could be like, you know, for 1 yard, so you make a 1-yard mini skein. Or if you do a really big hand spun, actually I don't have one handy right now, but if you make, this is actually kind of bulky. This is actually only like 3.5 ounces, and it turned out to be pretty bulky in the end. But if you have skeins that are like twice this size, if you have a longer middle section for your Niddy Noddy, you make even larger skeins. And then what else you could do is this length. This actually has no real bearing on the overall yardage, but if you wanted to make really poofy yarn, or if you want really big skeins, you could actually make this piece a lot longer. I think these were cut around 4 inches, so you know, the part that sticks out is maybe 3.5 inches or so. So you could extend this out and have it be longer so that you have more room to like wrap it, but you have to be careful because that will actually change the yardage a little bit, and when you start to apply pressure, because it's kind of like a tourniquet basically. So when you apply a lot of pressure on the outsides of the pipe like this, it's really going to start to bend, and that again will also change the overall yardage. So you want to be careful to not get them too long. So hopefully that has covered most of the questions that you might have had about a PVC pipe. In general, they're cheaper. There's a lot more versatility with them. You can take them apart. They have, you know, interchangeable pieces, so you can pretty much make any kind of skein of yarn that you want. Now, there are disadvantages, and the one that I hit on was the fact that if you are making a skein of yarn with this, you have to be careful with the tension that you apply. So, like when you're wrapping the yarn, if you wrap it too tightly, these are going to start to bow, and what happens then is, like when you have your skein, right, it won't be all nice and together like this. You might have the pieces on one end or on the inside, they might actually be a tighter loop than the ones on the outside. So if that's happening to you, then you should probably reskein it, because you're going to have false yardage when you're done. The other thing is like when it comes to selling your hand spun, it will give you more yardage than you actually have, so then you're charging someone more money for yardage that they're not actually getting. So it could be a mess for you if you're making something with it, but it's also really bad if you're also selling this hand spun and, you know, selling it with false yardage count. So definitely pay attention to how you're using it. So that's really like one of the biggest downsides that I've had using a plastic Niddy Noddy. I've also seen people, because it's not very pretty, I've seen a lot of people use like contact paper or washi tape covering their Niddy Noddy to make it look pretty. And you're welcome to, or you can just paint it. You're welcome to do any of that kind of stuff, although I really just don't care because it's a tool. And I don't care if all my tools look great. My first wheel was a Babe spinning wheel, and it was made out of PVC pipe, so this is actually really appropriate to have. So yeah, cheap, easy to interchange for different size skeins, and, you know, really durable, so you're not going to worry about breaking it. And then let's move on to the wooden version. So as many of you probably know, and if you don't, I have a Kromsky minstrel. I think I've already said that like 3 times in this episode. Sorry. I have a Kromsky minstrel. I have a Kromsky minstrel. All right, got that on my. I got that out. Okay. So basically, yeah, I wanted a really nice Niddy Noddy that would match my wheel, because I already had the really nice wheel with the finish, and then I bought the stool that goes with it, and then I was like, you know, it's really not going to be that much extra. So I went ahead and got the 2-yard Niddy Noddy that kind of matches the wheel. So the nice thing about these is they're beautiful. I think that's a valid reason to get one of these, actually, because if you are incensed with like the quality of your tools, this is a high quality piece of wood here. You know, someone actually spent time to make it by hand, and, you know, it's an heirloom piece, and it's a conversation starter, and it's something that, like, if you end up having children or grandkids, or, you know, like cousins have kids, you know, your auntie. I'm an only child. I don't have any brothers or sisters. I am just auntie. So you know, you could pass this on to them, you know, and it's something that they would probably appreciate more than something that looks like this, because this doesn't look very fancy, this does. So this looks like it has more value to someone emotionally rather than the PVC version. So if that is actually a very important point for you, then great, go ahead and get this one. Now, as you notice, like I twisted this by hand, right? They actually recommend that you glue this together. So when I got it, it was in 3 pieces. It was disassembled like this, right? The 3 pieces were like this. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to put glue on here and then keep it in the position that it needs to be in. So one cross piece is going to be sort of crossing the bottom one. If you were to remove this piece in the middle, it kind of, I'll just take it apart and show you. So if you removed the middle piece, get this frame, you know, they would do this. So it would form like an X, right? So you should definitely glue this, and the reason why I say it is because a lot of times when I start winding yarn with this, one of the pieces is kind of loose, so it just falls off. And then I have to hold it in place. And the other thing that happens is oh, it just fell off. That's funny. See, I wasn't lying. I was telling you the truth. So this piece is actually really loose, so I have to be careful. I have to keep this one on the top. But what will happen is when I start winding the yarn, this piece will start to rotate like this. So I have to be very careful to keep this in place while I'm wrapping yarn. And that's pretty much the biggest downside of using a wooden version, because you can't easily pack this and go somewhere. And when you lay it down, it's going to, you know, it's going to lay down on one end, but the other end is going to stick up because this point here. So not necessarily the best tool for traveling with. You know, you can't just sort it in your luggage and go like you can with the PVC version. But I think that it makes up for it in its sturdy nature. So, you know, like I said, in the PVC version, the ends here, when you apply a lot of pressure, they're going to start to bend, and that's going to skew the amount of yardage you have. This wooden one isn't going to do that. It's going to be a lot more sturdy. So when you're wrapping, I really should glue this when I get back to the States. So when you're wrapping, this isn't going to, oh, there we go. Okay. So this part isn't going to really bow at all because it's a piece of solid wood. So you're not really going to get skewed yardage out of something like this, which is, you know, really great, because then you don't really have to pay too much attention to how you're wrapping it. So that, like, the amount of tension that you use to wrap the yarn onto the Niddy Noddy isn't going to make as much of a difference as it will with the plastic one. And then the other downside, of course, with this version is the cost. So I think I'm pretty sure we ended up spending maybe $5 to make this Niddy Noddy, like $5. And then these 2 pieces here, these were like the most expensive ones. They were like 80 cents a piece. Oh, I guess that is kind of more expensive, huh, now that I think about it. So, you know, it's like $5, and then I got 3 middle pieces, the one that's on there now, and then these 2 extras. So really, it isn't that expensive, and like I said, if you don't like the way that it looks, you can always decorate it after the fact. However, I'm pretty sure this cost me $60 or $80 for the 2 yard skein. I think the 1.5 yards is $60, and I think the 2 yard skein was $80. And of course, because I wanted in the finish, it was going to be more expensive than the unfinished version. So, because I wanted it to match, right? Everything was the mahogany finish, so I wanted everything to look the same. So, yeah, they're not necessarily cheap, and this is probably one of the biggest reasons why I didn't get one in the first case. So, yeah, if you have a budget, I would suggest doing a do-it-yourself Niddy Noddy. And if you just want something that looks really nice, that goes with your wheel, that's sturdy, that you know, will last and sort of be like an heirloom piece, definitely go with the wooden version. I use both kind of interchangeably. I don't really have opinions other than like offering you the pros and cons for each. But I think it's useful to have both, because I was part of a spinning and weaving guild, and I tell you, this in your, you know, like taken apart in your spinning bag, and you're carting your wheel around, it's really, really useful to have that. However, if you're going to be at home mostly spinning, you know, maybe you want to go with the wooden version because it doesn't matter if it's portable or not. So really it just comes down to kind of what you want and what your budget is. So, and I know I say this a lot in my videos, but I mean, just because there are all these varieties of spinning wheels out there doesn't mean you have to get the most expensive one. Get the one that fits you. Does it fit your budget? Does it fit what your values are? You know, maybe you want a $2,000 spinning wheel, which I actually found out there are spinning wheels that definitely cost like 14 grand. It's crazy. I would definitely get a really nice Niddy Noddy to match that particular spinning wheel. But you know, if like wrapping tension isn't a big deal for you, then really either one is going to work fine for you. So then it just comes down to how much do you want to spend on it, you know, and are you confident enough to cut the PVC pipe? And you know, how it looks. So I mean, it's really not up to me to really say one is better than the other because I'm not you. I like them both. Maybe you will like one over the other, but I will leave that up for you to try. Anyway, sorry for being so long-winded, but I know that a lot of you out there enjoy watching these videos, and you know, I tried to be as informative as I possibly can, so that's probably why my videos end up being really long. So if you're watching this video, please like it, subscribe, share. If you have any questions or comments, you can always post them below. You can also follow me on Twitter and friend me on Facebook. And if you're interested in any of the bats that I sell, you can find me at expertlydyed.etsy.com. And if you want to see even more, I do wholesale my bats to darngoodyarn.com, which is darngoodyarn.com. And she has like some of the best bats that I've made. So go over there and check it out. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.